Okay, we're on the second page of lesson 5, which is 860. We're going to go ahead and start with example 2. A parallelogram has opposite sides that are the same length. Remember, opposite meant top, bottom, left, right. And both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. These lines here are parallel, left and right, and the top and bottom is parallel. Remember we talked about how if you were to draw a line all the way up, extending this all the way up to here, you were to draw a line here and extend this all the way up to here, you would see if the line was straight that the lines would always be the same distance apart and they would never touch. So that again is what parallel means. So now it says, draw an example of a quadrilateral that is not a parallelogram. First of all, what's a quadrilateral again? It's any figure or polygon that has 4 sides. That's what quadrilateral means. This beginning of the word quadrilateral, quad, means 4. So it's just simply a figure that has 4 sides. But in this case, we want to make sure that it's not a parallelogram. So I could draw actually 3 different figures. I could draw a rectangle, a square, or a trapezoid. Well, for this example, I'm going to draw a trapezoid because I think they're kind of interesting. Remember, a trapezoid has one side really long, so the bottom would be a long line, the top would be a shorter line, and then we connect the two. Okay, it sort of looks like a roof kind of a house. And it says classify the quadrilateral you drew and explain why it is not a parallelogram. Well, to classify it means just to name it. So I'm going to name mine trapezoid, T-R-A-P-E-Z-O-I-D. And why is it not a parallelogram? Well, the reason a trapezoid is not a parallelogram is because the top and the bottom lines are parallel, but the right and left are not parallel. Eventually, if I were to draw those lines all the way up here and draw this line all the way up here, they'd meet somewhere. And that's not the definition of parallel. Parallel is they're the same distance apart, they never touch or meet. So that's why a trapezoid would not be a parallelogram. Now I could have also drawn here a square or a rectangle. And what I could have said for why are those not parallelograms? Because both a rectangle and a square have right angles. Although they're 4 sides, right? These are not right angles in a parallelogram. So that would have been another one I could have used here. But you can decide which one you want to draw, trapezoid, rectangle, or a square. All right, let's go to the guided practice number 1. Name one attribute or characteristic that a square has that a rhombus doesn't have. Now go back to page 859 and look at a square and look at a rhombus. They both have 4 sides. They're both equal in length, but the rhombus is sort of a pushed over. It looks like somebody pushed over a square. So a square has right angles, but a rhombus has no right angles. So that's what we're going to write here. The difference is a square has 4 right angles. Now it says draw an example of a quadrilateral that is not a rhombus. So remember, quadrilateral is just a fancy way to say a figure that has 4 sides. So we want a figure with 4 sides that is not a rhombus. I could simply draw a square, right? It's not a rhombus. And then it says classify it. It's a square. Why is it not a rhombus? Well, I know that from this question number 1. A square has 4 right angles and a rhombus doesn't. Now, I also could have drawn another figure. I could have drawn a rectangle, right? That would be an example of a quadrilateral, a figure with 4 sides that's not a rhombus. And what I could have said here is 2 different things. I could have said a rectangle has 4 right angles, a rhombus doesn't. And I could have also said a rectangle does not have all 4 sides equal in length like a rhombus. Remember, a rhombus is a square that's been pushed over. No right angles, 4 sides the same length. Now a rectangle has 4 right angles, but the sides are not all the same length. The top and the bottom are the same length. The left and the right are the same length. Okay, so that completes this page. We'll be on with the next page with another video. Talk to you soon.